Dwane, just away from your team for a while. I know you watch games and you're, aware of what goes on around the league. I looked out last night. You look at the standings. Dallas hasn't won yet. Some of the teams that at the start, it's kind of like the start of a game where everybody has to go through it and then water finds its own level. Is there anything that surprises you when you kind of look at records right now? Does anything jump at you?
Jonesy, I think it's very difficult to look at records right now because, new teams with new players, right, new coaches, new systems are trying to find themselves, and it's totally different in exhibition, so you can't take away anything from that. It's hard. I would say we're not who we're going to be, and I don't think a lot of teams right now that haven't been together are really at that level yet. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say team 0-3, 1-3, or whatever it is who they're going to be. And for us, same thing. We're not who we're going to be offensively and defensively. Right now, DeMar is carrying us, and he and Cal both. And a lot of the shots we normally make aren't falling. Right. So a lot of teams are going through that throughout the league, and probably game 10 you really start seeing a trend and seeing water finding this.
Do you feel when you look at your team in terms of what you hope to be, what you've been in the past, that at least you're on the right track in that sense?
We're on the right track, and our pick and roll defense is not where it is, where was last year, and it wasn't there last year at this time either. So. But we know which direction we want to go. That's the good thing. We know the direction we want to go. We have been, and what we're working toward. So that's a plus, and we're on the same page from that standpoint. Just figuring out some things with our pick and roll defense, with different personnel, with our young players, understanding what we're trying to do. And but we'll get there. But a game 3 or 4 is way too early to establish, who's a good team and who's not a good team.
The second unit was such a strength for you guys last season. How pleased were you with what they were able to do, especially in the first half?
They saved us last night, Josh. I mean, they came in and changed the game. They brought energy. They brought speed. They brought an intensity that we didn't have starting the game out. And our first unit's got to get that and to start the game. Now, the first unit finds it, and that's the way it was last year, usually in the fourth quarter. But we can't let teams jump out 12, 15 points. But the second unit was tremendous. Corey, T. Ross came in, had a huge impact on the game. I thought Pirtle came in and really did a good job with his pick and roll defense early. But they changed the game. Patrick brought his energy. So they turned the tide, in which we knew that Washington traditionally and historically come out with their guns a-blazing, and the second units, subsided that tide.
It seems like Terrence has been getting in passing lanes, reading plays really well defensively. He mentioned the weight loss over the summer, the fact that he's been sort of quicker. Are you noticing anything differently with him defensively this year?
No, last night he did an excellent job of being in the gaps, being where he was supposed to be. That helped him within the system. He got a couple of steals from that standpoint, but I think his alertness defensively was there last night. So which helped him get some of those steals. But he's been an alert player, even in exhibition seasons. He's much more alert defensively, in which I feel like turns around and helps him on the offensive end too. He has success on the defensive end, gets his confidence, gets his mojo, gets a little bounce in his step, and then he goes down and knocks down shots. So they're intertwined together. But I'm really was pleased the way T. Ross and Norm came in and played at that wing position. We had to put Norm off onto John Wall to kind of slow him down, give him different looks. And I thought Norm used his physicality in the right way.
That was the most you've used him so far, and I'm still early, but what went into that, and were you happy with everything that you got out of him?
Well, again, we haven't stopped him yet. I think he'd still be shooting layups if he kept going in there. So we've got to get better from that standpoint. Norm gave him a different look, different physicality. And there's going to be games like that, Chris. There's going to be situations where it's a better matchup for Norm. It's going to be situations where it's going to be a matchup for T. Ross. It's not that one is doing a bad job or a great job, but it's just the matchup situations or game situations or change, and which we had to have last night. So those adjustments will be made. We have to make them. It's going to be different personnel, and that's, their role on this team. I mean, that's what they have to do. That's their job, to come in and do that. And it may be next game, it may be T. Ross's night. Next game, it may be Corey's night. But it will change from game to game.
Dwane, when you look ahead to Miami, as we talked about earlier, they're not what they're going to be eventually, but the constant is the coach. When you do your scouting and you look at stuff, even though the personnel is different, how much do you focus in on the guy who's running things and the guy who's putting the plan into place?
Well, I'd like to say that because I love coaching, and it is some of that, the consistency. But Dragic is doing a heck of a job. Whiteside is doing a heck of a job. You have to game plan for those two guys. Yeah. They don't have weight, so they're not doing as many wing ISOs as they used to without him. More pick and rolls, more drags. And Winslow is shooting the ball much better, but Whiteside is the issue, and Dragic with the basketball, as we saw last night in the pick and rolls. It's a different type of situation because now you got a lob threat instead of a guy half rolling to the free throw line like Gortat was last night. So those two philosophically are a little different. Usually they've been a wing ISO team with Wade and LeBron and that type thing. So, Coach, he's adjusted a little bit, changed his offensive approach a little bit. So we have to be ready for that tomorrow.
You've talked quite a bit about Jakob's progression on the court, his maturity, but in terms of coming into the NBA as the first player from Austria, it could be a burden for a lot of young players, but it seems like with that maturity that you've talked about, that poise, he's as good of an ambassador as a country like that could hope for coming into the league. Did you get the sense that that's something that he takes a lot of pride in?
Well, I don't know, but I know they've getting a lot of media here. That we've had media here almost every week, and which is great for him, great for the country. He's a great kid. The future is going to be bright for him. Like Jonesy was saying, he's not who he's going to be at all. I mean, he's making mistakes now, but they're learning mistakes, and he's going to continue to improve. He's going to continue to get the time to play, and I thought he did a good as job as any of our bigs last night of guarding the pick and roll, going vertical, moving his feet, getting to our base scope position. He's a great ambassador for the country, and great kid from a great family, and we're just excited to have him in our program.
We finished the game out and everything last night. Was everything fine with the stitches after?
It's fine, yeah, he's fine. He just got a patch on his eye. He'll be okay.
Mar's ankle good too?
Yeah, he's fine. Everybody came out okay last night. We're ready to roll.
Physically, how are you feeling?
I don't have to get out there and guard the pick and roll. I wish I could, but I can't. I'm fine. The grind is fun. It's a fun part of the grind.
All right, basketball. Did you catch any of the World Series last night?
I did. Everybody was watching on their phones, and I got home and watched all the highlights. It was one of the best Game 7s of all times, I think. And, unfortunate for Cleveland, unfortunate for the city of Chicago. It was great. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm sure Harry Carey's somewhere, looking down on the Cubs. I used to watch him when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. But it was great for the Cubs fan. I think it's great for baseball for Chicago to finally get to a championship.